a desire to be you, some creativity, and loads of joy can give rise to amazing conversations. Please do listen in Theatre of Joy. And like and subscribe, please. Anirban has been working on critical and political poetry, text, and sound from the South Asian region. He has been exploring the intersectionalities between the lived realities and the audiovisual medium. He is a practicing musician, composer, producer, and sound designer based in New Delhi. His expertise lies in experimental sound design, which he has been exploring in live performances and recording spaces for more than 2 decades. He is the founder, chief composer of a political art rock collective, Dastan Live. He has worked with Mandeep Rekhi, Navtesh Singh Johar, Katkata Puppet Arts Trust, among others. His recent work with Tayyib Mehta was premiered at the Venice Biennale 2023, and that with Mandeep Rekhi was presented at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. There's a lot more, please check in the description. An amazing conversation where we dive into his experiences, his work, and his journey through it all. Hello. Welcome to the podcast Theatre of Joy. Today we have Anirban. Anirban has so many facets, so many sides to him, and he has a very, let's say, very fertile kind of a space that he grows in. And so I'm going to let him tell you about himself, and then we will go on from there. Anirban, it's all
Hey,
yours.
hi,
Hi.
hi, hi. Thank you, Harleen, for actually inviting me on your podcast. I watched a couple of previous episodes and I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the way you sort of opened up the conversation uh, with people. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. And
And I'm
I
honored. I'm honored.
the honor is all mine, and there's no like uh, honor or anything. It's just it's so good to be, and it's I'm so glad that you're doing this and people are doing this, and people are being able to talk about their work, and in a sort of this like uh, like this kind of a way where you really share and you really open up, because also the kind of work that I personally, okay, I'll sort of start talking about what I do. So I'm a sort of a musician, I'm a sound designer, composer, and I primarily work with artists who come from interdisciplinary art forms. Like I work with puppetry, Katkatha Puppet Arts Trust. Then I worked in the field of theater with theater artists, with dancers, with like film, documentary filmmakers. And I also have my practice in music. I have a live performance art music project called Dastan Live, where currently we are composing M.K. Raina's 1982 play, the music of the play Kabira Khada Bazaar Mein. So we are sort of reinterpreting it in a modern contemporary form. And in fact, while we speak, we are performing this at It Folk Festival in Kerala on the 9th. So yeah, I mean uh, it's been a really interesting journey for me personally, from the world of music to get into like sound design and work with artists who come from sort of different art forms and different ideas, because it helps me to look at my form and my practice in a very like sort of a different way, from all like a 360 way. Like I'm critically looking at my practice. What am I doing? What is my practice? How do I, like, for instance, when I work with someone like Anurupa or Katkatha, like when I'm scoring for puppet theater, now you have to completely create a new world for in the field of puppetry. So what is that world? What does it mean? What sounds? What kind of sounds? So yeah, I mean, these things are really, really pushing me to sort of look back at my own practice as a, say, a musician or a composer. And it's exciting, and I'm really loving working with all kinds of people on different projects. So that's a bit about me. Also, I've taught like critical sound design at Ashoka University, at Shriram Center of Performing Arts in Mandi House, at SACAC. It's another sort of Sri Aurobindo Center for Arts and Communication. So that also opens up another space for me to discuss and share my work with people who are actually learning, say, filmmaking, documentary filmmaking, sound design, liberal arts students. So it's really interesting to sort of share that work in these spaces. It opens up a completely new sort of field for these students as well, who are actually not probably, who don't know what sound is, like, what is music, what is sound. So we start with these questions in my sessions: what is sound, what is music, and I mean, then we go into a journey of understanding what is critical sound design, what is,
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. So tell
yeah.
us what is critical sound design.
So for me, actually, like, how you talk about critical thought in like, say, the field of education, in the field of academia, like, you're taking a text, and instead of just going through that text, you're actually looking at the time and the context and the reason for why that text was written in a certain time. Like, for instance, if we talk about, say, Kabir, like, Kabir was someone who couldn't write, and he belonged to like the 15th century. So he used to recite stuff that he felt was going, like, he needed to say in that time, right? Now we are in 2024, right? And some of the stuff that he said in the 15th century is still relevant in today's day and age. So for me to look at music from that perspective, जैसे वो कहावत है कि आपका घर जल रहा होता है तो आप फूल नहीं बनाते हैं. तो in the current times, it's we are living in sort of dystopian times, and you need stuff that is critically looking at the times. And because I'm a sound artist, sound practitioner, for me to look at what sound can do or what music can do to sort of talk about this time, because that's like, only in that way I can be authentic and honest about the kind of work that I'm creating in 2024, say, for instance. Uh,
That's interesting. So would you expand on that?
for instance, like, currently, like, this one project I work with, say, for instance, with the Mandeep Rekhi, it's called Hallucinations of an Artifact, where they are looking at the dancing girl. So they're looking at the dancing girl and the all the connotations around the dancing girl in the current scene. So what people are sort of thinking, like, what the dancing girl is for people today. So there have been a lot of different sort of appropriations that have happened. So they wanted to go back to that and like, create a piece around that, around the different facets of the dancing girl. So for my sound design also followed that same sort of narrative, where you're trying to challenge the norm, the sort of the oneness of like an artifact called like that. That's the dancing girl. Like, another work that I would like to share here is like the work with Say Navtej, which is called Tanasha, which is around Bhagat Singh's letters that he wrote from the jail, and the text, "Why I'm an Atheist." In today's day and age, it's really interesting because people know Bhagat Singh as someone with a gun and bombs, but people don't know that he also built and helped set up libraries. He had a romantic side to him as well. So we are not like, we get stuck with one ideas or one
I
story.
saw Navtej Johar's performance.
Yeah,
So yeah, now I know what you mean.
yeah.
Mm,
So Bhagat Singh the romantic, like, say just to put an idea across like that, and how do you then create a performance art piece or a movement art piece, with that idea, with that notion of who was Bhagat Singh, like, what was going on in his mind. He was not just about, there's not one story that is associated with someone like Bhagat Singh. So then for me as a sound designer, I have to go back into my what I'm designing for that, say, for instance, for this piece, to critically look at how can sound also help tell that story, instead of me just maybe traditionally playing some scores or some sort of scales or modes that go with the mood. Okay, if it's Bhagat Singh, it has to be like, like very hard drums or something, whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm just giving you a very vague,
And it, since
bland.
it was in first person,
Yeah,
they, they were very, very, very interesting little interludes. Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. And
Yeah.
also, there's a part in the same show where he takes a small plane and just he sings a note, ooh, and then, but it like how the sound design sort of builds that one note. So I take that note in, I layer it with many other oohs that he like that I recorded with him, and it sort of big like turns into this big siren. So from that one note, it becomes like a siren, and then again goes back into. So I mean, these are these small things that add to a show where I am sort of critically looking at my practice and sort of looking at what sound design can add to the larger narrative.
And
That is actually
the least of it is breaking the paradigms, like, the
correct.
suspense.
Yeah, yeah. Breaking the paradigms, also adding like uh, uh, adding a completely new idea, new thought process, adding layers, uh, challenging your own layers that you've added. Like, why did I add this sound? Like, in music they say that हर नोट का एक कहानी है, हर सुर के पीछे एक कुछ होना चाहिए. Like, क्यों आपने ये सुर यूज किया? Like राग में, when they create, like when a rag is sort of when a rag was composed, or rather structured, like there was a reason why each note was there. Why komal sa and why not, shuddh sa, or
Mhm.
vice versa. So there was a reason for each note to exist in that universe of a particular rag. And then using that note, people would tell their own stories. So similarly, maybe it's very important to sort of go back to that question, that why this sound, why this set of notes, uh, why warp something, or why create a melodic score, or why stick to the conventional, say something which doesn't need to be warped, or doesn't need anything which is completely experimental or different, or why. So basically asking that why became a very important part of my practice. And that brought me into the space of critical thought, where you are constantly asking questions that why is this sound here? Or why is this sound not here? Even the idea of something not being here for me is part of the larger sound design. Uh, like silences, for instance, like
Mm.
using silences as an element of sound design, like not having sound somewhere. So that's it. That's why I call it like sort of critically looking at my own practice.
Yeah, and this in this times of elevator music and type pipe music, yeah, we need people who can look at music and how it adds to whatever it is adding to in a
Yeah,
different way. That's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. It's such a wonderful journey.
I mean, it's just I love this, being on this journey. I don't know where it'll take me, but it's interesting. It's I'm getting to collaborate and work with so many different kinds of people who are actually doing such interesting and critical political work, interesting work, experimental work. So for me, that, like I said, it goes back into my own practice and my own approach and the way I look at my field. So I feel it's always a give and take. It's
Yeah.
not like I am only like putting in whatever masala in something.
I believe that, if there's a person like you working in this way and in this, then spaces open up. Then people
Yeah,
know that this is available, and then, collaborative art and, the big web that we all artists
yeah,
work, that kind of expands and, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and even in advertising,
yeah,
it is that, like there's one tone you remember from some ads, like even the Microsoft tone.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, what is that called? Audio something.
It's like you have a like a jingle, like
Yeah,
you have a like it's like, I mean, say you have an audio logo
audio
for
logo, audio branding is also.
branding, logo, whatever you can call it. But actually, it's interesting that you say that because like marketing and advertising, that has also come from the field like arts. Arts as sort of it's a mix of how people have taken from the world of arts, from beat theater, beat music, beat dance, beat visual arts, and then created like it's and storytelling, narrative. Like narrative is has been always the core of the world of marketing and advertising. End of the day, you're telling a story, right? And how compelling your story is or how believable your story is. Based on that, you're able to sort of convey a product to from from manufacturing to the consumer and consumer. So it is, we are all storytellers, and not just us. Like I feel everyone's a storyteller in this world. Like सबके पास कहानियां है बताने को, सुनने वाले कहाँ है वो डिफाइन करता है. Basically वो क्या गया, what has happened is सुन like these temples have been made कि यहीं पे कहानी सुन सकते हो. So like art galleries में ही आप art देख सकते हो. Like म्यूजिक कमानी में ही आप नाटक देख सकते हो. जबकि नाटक तो सड़क पे चल रहा है, कहानियां तो सड़क पे है. Like we have forgotten to actually uh, just like listen. Like we have stories all around us. So yeah, I mean, I we are all trying to tell stories. Yeah, so that's why we are all sort of
That's very interesting. I mean, I don't know, just because I know the people listening haven't really, heard about the things that you are talking about. So, what other areas does sound leak into in our lives? I mean,
sound.
it's whatever you say, yeah.
Sound is all around us. That's why
Yeah.
I actually tell everyone that what happens is like because sound is all around us, and for people who can like hear, basically you have to hear. You have to just like you have to stop and listen. If you listen to the world around us, what we are inhabiting, you will every time you listen to it, you will discover new things. Oh, ये भी था यहाँ पे. अरे ये वाली चिड़िया की आवाज ये
Hmm.
मेरे घर. You will realize that आप अगर आंख बंद करके सिर्फ सुनने लग जाओगे, you will start realizing that there are so many things that we overlook on a daily basis. So sound is like we are all surrounded by sound. Now sound designing is something which is like where you are sort of designing an artificial kind of an environment, but you're trying to keep it as real as possible or as because everyday sounds are not, everything is not like always evocative or provocative around us. Like
That brings to mind, a friend who was making a film, and
yeah,
the most I mean, it was a wonderful moment. And she chose to use the sound of the dripping tap,
yeah, yeah,
in the kitchen.
yeah,
And of course, there was a visual to go with it. But
yeah,
that was very evocative.
yeah.
That,
So that's
yeah.
what now since you mentioned this, now imagine why, like wo sound, there's a reason for these are like for using that particular sound, because the maker wanted the audience to go into a certain emotion or a certain what do you say, certain space.
Mhm.
So that's where sound design, the world of sound design is sort of that's what it does. So you are through sound design you are trying to take people to like some spaces. So
The emotional space that you want to take them to.
yeah, like wherever you want to take them to, like वहां पे चिड़िया की आवाज भी हो सकती थी, वहां पे घड़ी की आवाज, क्लॉक भी हो सकता था. Why use drops, like
Mm.
water droplets? So that's what these are. Then you have to ask yourself that sometimes you just do these things just to not, maybe just to cut something, where you say कि अच्छा मुझे ज्यादा सोचना नहीं है, like why did I put it, I don't know, मुझे ये sound अच्छा लगा, we put it. But most of the times you will have a reason to sort of like, why this visual, why this shot, why black and white, why this color, why this frame, why this composition, why this dance, or why this puppet. So as makers, you are constantly asking these questions, that why this. So wo to that's a never ending, it's an ocean.
Yeah.
But then, yeah,
So there
some,
is sound design and there is music design.
yeah,
Is yeah. So and the both of them blend also. What fun! It's like a creative landscape you can really dance in.
yeah, it's an ocean, never ending. Like you just keep like going deep and deep and deep and deep into it, and one day you realize कि अरे तो बहुत deep आ गए, अब क्या करें. Then you go start going up, and फिर वहां पे भी like you realize, अच्छा ये तो नई चीजें discover कर रहे हैं. How, ये तो नहीं देखा था, ये वाली मछली कहाँ से आई, ये वाला कोरल कहाँ से आया. So it's
But
basically, yeah,
I I can think of a installation, maybe that's not the correct word, of a soundscape which is only sounds and there are no visuals.
yeah, that
It'll be fun also.
yeah, it'll be awesome where the room is dark. Of course, like you don't want people to hit like something or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you are, they are only listening to sounds, and through sounds, you are sort of telling that story without having any other impulse or any other like sensory sort of, stimulation. So, and ये तो किसी भी sense में होता है ना, you actually, it's really interesting because if you take the other senses out, your one sense will expand. Like how, like, you'll start hearing differently, you'll start hearing new things, you'll start hearing things that probably you would have missed, because we are so overloaded by the other senses. Like all our senses are working at all the time, but the minute you shut one sense, then you'll see, uh, like I actually, interestingly, people who, uh, like, who say, for instance, like people who can't see, for instance, like they'll hear, like their listening is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, their that sense is working so powerfully that they are hearing the world. They're actually hearing the world. The entire world is auditory. So it's so, uh, I mean, it's a completely different world for them. It's like an auditory world that they are inhabiting. So their entire world is based. So it's, imagine, it's like they are in the world of, like, sound design world, where everything is, and you are like, you are sort of hearing differently. You are different things that probably we guys, we are like, acha ye, oh no, I didn't hear this, what.
We get used to responding to sounds. It's conditioned,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
you call it, and by films and by the world around you, your parents' home, and all that.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, mm, it would be a, a practice
yeah,
to actually critically respond to differently to sounds.
yeah.
Uh,
Or maybe just start listening. Like, we all go to parks, for instance, like every day, or like, most of us, we have gone to like neighborhood parks, and we go out for walks and stuff. The day you actually start listening to things, you yourself will be like, oh, it'll be a completely different experience, in a way where you will be like, oh, now I'm actually paying more attention to the trees, the sound of, the leaves rustling, the sound of even you walking on different surfaces. Like, you'll see how that changes. Like,
mm,
say, from a concrete road to, like, say, you step on, I don't know, like grass or sand or whatever. You'll see how that changes, how that sort of creates a completely different, how landscape is defining the sound experience that you have, and vice versa, how sound is changing with landscape. uh, Everything, like the whole experience of our everyday living, sort of, changes. It can obviously overwhelm you also. You can be like, oh damn, I can hear my a heartbeat, and I can suddenly now hear, like, there are these quiet rooms where you like like there's the quietest room with 0 dB sound isolation in the US, where they say that you will not be able to stay there for more than like a minute or 2 minutes, because you start hearing everything, like you breathing, your body parts, and it becomes really uncomfortable after a point in time. So sound can also make you super, your own body sounds can make you super
And I'm
uncomfortable.
thinking, uh, having this practice in the
Yeah,
learning environment of a child
yeah,
would be very useful in their education.
yeah, of course,
Because then
absolutely.
it's not all about the shore out here,
Yeah,
it's about listening.
yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, you're
And
more uh, at one with your environment and with your world.
yeah,
Mm.
and as a child, you are actually, your senses are way more uh, like your receptors are way more active compared to like as you grow old, and like even I hear the world differently compared to say a child who is just growing up. The like your sensors are way more like responding. uh, I don't know what, like at working at max capacity maybe.
Mm. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes things also start getting warped because of, as we all age, the same note gets warped. You are hearing the same note, like sa 440 pe agar tune hai, if you are hearing that sa as a child, uh, maybe at 440, you will start hearing it different. It'll be at a different frequency because of our physiology, because of
There is something about the frequency that has been imposed on everyone.
yeah,
Why?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So would you tell us if you, I mean,
So see, scientifically, like like the whole world has. It's really interesting because there was this sound. There was a musician actually from US, Bernie Krause. He was a commercial musician. He used to play with a bunch of bands and was a recording artist. So one fine day, he actually quit his music practice and went to the Californian wild. And he was like, I just want to record nature. So he started recording like creatures in the forest and forest sounds and stuff. What he realized was, naturally, and this is evolution, like every creature occupies a certain frequency band, and it has happened. This is evolution, because sound is actually, it's a communication tool. So every creature, big, small, tiny, has to communicate with their kind. So they have found a certain frequency that works for them where no other creature is there. So frogs have a certain frequency. Birds will, like different kinds of, like, so different species, every species occupies a certain frequency band. In nature, nobody has. So imagine nature, this is nature's sound design. So he started recording it, and it was really interesting because he found different frequency bands for different species. So he found this one sort of group of frogs. I don't know what you call a group of frogs, but so he found a group of frogs. Every time there would be a sort of a predator near them, they would all start croaking. They would all, so you would hear like a lot of frogs. So if five frogs are making that sound, that whatever that predator is near, alarm, every frog in that area would start making it. So the predator would know that, okay, there's not one or two, there are many of them, I might get attacked. So the predator would not attack maybe in that moment. So, and imagine, this is all evolution, nobody has planted this. And then at some point he realized that basically there were these trucks that there was a lot of construction work that started happening there in that forest, and the trucks occupied the same frequency as the frogs. So at some
oh,
point, the frogs started getting confused with this sound, and their population declined. Because imagine, the next time a predator was near them, they didn't know whether to make this sound or not. So the frog population declined because of man made intervention in a natural environment. Can you imagine? it's so crazy that nature has created, like there's a natural sort of an evolution. This is evolution. Like there's a natural sound design that like I also it's like, every poisonous plant like has an antidote growing right next to it, and this is nature's balance. So nature will always find a way to sort of balance these things, and this is nature's creation, like the whole shrishti jise bolte hain. So somewhere, even as sound, the whole sound design that we hear around us, it's all except the man-made stuff, except the building sounds and the car sounds and all of that. Everything else is like nature's sound design. It's there. It already exists. So so that's what, like, for me, that is so interesting, that how can I sort of listen to that and take inspiration from what exists. I'm not reinventing any wheel. It's all there. Everything is there around us. That's what I just have to close my eyes and listen to what's there. I'll already find like layers and layers of sound design and music. So for me, that really, this perspective shift really changed the way how I was looking at my practice and my form and what I was doing. So yeah, I don't know if that
I do want to go
it's like,
a little bit. We have very little time now, but I do
yeah.
want to go to a little bit into the activist side of your life, of your persona.
Well, I actually
Just
don't really.
briefly tell us about that. Mm.
I don't call myself an activist because, uh, like I'm too far away from actually being an on ground activist. But yes, I do want to use my art and my practice to create songs and to create work that is talking about the times that we are living in right now. So that is a very important part of what I want to do. Like, you know post, like, okay, so I, like any other musician or any other arts practitioner, I started as like learning the bass guitar, learning the guitar actually, then bass guitar, then had a band and stuff, where we were doing music, where I didn't know why are we doing this, like why are we talking about, I don't know, like breakups, and why are we talking about random uh, like random stuff. So, and then at some point I'm like, there is so much stuff that I want to talk about related to what's going on around us, and especially in these times where basic expression is being stifled, where you are not able to actually voice what you want to say. uh, there is, I mean, people say there's freedom of speech and all of that is there, but actually it's not there. You cannot say what you want to say. You cannot voice your opinion. We are living in a democracy where constantly we are being told, what color to wear, what, how to walk, what kind of clothes we can wear, what kind of songs we can sing, what kind
And
of
the
food we
social
can eat.
norms are also very tight.
Yeah, so everything has become very tight, like you said. So for me, because I am occupying this time and space in this part of the world, I wanted to use. I cannot do. I'm not a politician. I cannot go out on the streets and do narebazi, because I cannot do it. That's not. I cannot do it. Like for me personally, all I can do is just sing. Or not even sing. I can't even sing. I wish I could sing. But all I can do is make music, and that's all I can do. And so I was like, when I can do, like, if I was a poet, I would have been writing stuff about the times. Like Kabir could create such great, uh, uh, verses and dohas and like what he said. I am not. I have nothing. I have no skill. The only skill I have is actually I can make music. I can create sound designs and I can create soundscapes. So I thought that if that's all I can do, then yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I don't call myself an activist. I will never call myself an activist, because there are actually activists who are doing far greater
But we can
work
think
at.
of changing the definition or adding or expanding the definition of what an activist is. Actually,
Sorry,
yes. I think
sorry.
it's time that we sort of expanded the definition of what an activist is.
Absolutely. I mean, expand the definition, or rather, I like I would call myself uh, like I'm at a very like at the fringe of being someone. I do care for my country very deeply. I do care for my people. I do care for what's happening in this part of the world. uh, and this is my story. It affects me. Okay, yes, I'm a cis man. I belong to a certain caste, a certain religion, but then that's not enough, right? I do see like a lot of uh, you know uh, wrong wrong things happening to people around us. Maybe it's not directly happening to me, but then I do want to talk about it, because we like if you're talking about creating a more humane, a more kinder world, then these things should not be happening, right? Then there's no room for fascism. There's no room for uh, uh, stifling free speech. There's no room for these kind of uh, whatever.
Maybe,
So
maybe my perception was not really right because I really believe in the idea of oneness,
yeah,
and I'm sure the collaboration that we have in the artistic world, where
yeah,
music designers collaborate with drama, and like you did with the puppets,
yeah,
puppeteers,
yeah,
and with that we, there's gifting and there's receiving.
yeah,
Everybody learns something,
yeah,
and really expands life. That's what. So it's not really happening to the other person; it's happening to me also, as
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the other are not different. And
And yeah,
maybe this is part of expressing ourselves. Maybe activists need not be segregated into, one separate space.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. And at the same time, it's also something where i I actually tell everyone that in musical terms, there's this term called harmony. Like harmonies is when you layer voices and you create a sort of a stack of like the root note, the third, fifth, seventh, whatever. Like you create harmony in music. I always tell everyone that true harmony in musical terms also cannot exist without diversity. If
Mm.
everything is one, it's not harmony. It's not in harmony, it's in unison.
Mm.
If you need true harmony, you need diversity. You need all kinds of voices to come together. And then only then you can create like a like a true harmony. The word harmony in musical terms. So I feel that uh,
And that's
we
true
can.
for life. That's true for
Yeah,
life.
exactly. So if you took that and that this concept from the world of music and said that like India is a beautiful country that has so much diversity, so much like multiculturalism. Like every 50 kilometers, things change. Landscape changes, the way people dress changes, the dialects change. So that is diversity, and people are still still like sort of trying to live in harmony. And that if someone comes and puts a spanner in that, then I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you like creating one story again, like one narrative, one story, one religion? uh, we are like the we are all trying to coexist together and create harmony, right? So anyone like our elected representatives should aid that.
Yeah.
like
We
it's
really
it's
have.
simple. It's very simple. There's no rocket science to this concept. As a country, we our whole existence is about diversity, and then creating harmony within diversity, true harmony. And that's actually a model for the world, because there's no other country like India in the entire world.
That's true. Mhm.
No other country which is as diverse and as what do you say, like as a
Yeah,
mix of,
yeah.
as layered. So yeah, I mean, for me, that I guess, yeah. So I guess, yeah. So, like, coming back to your point, like, I can only write songs, or I can compose music, or I can create sound design. And I feel that uh, to be, for me, to be relevant in today's day and age, in this time, I have to use what I know best to be able to tell my story from this time. Because we all listen to artists, we read like text, we watch films, and then we go back into that time. Oh, 1960s mein ya 1920s mein aisa, like you watch Pother Pachali, you know that it's set in a certain time, in a certain space. You can actually go back to that time, because when they were making that film, it was about that time and the issues that they were facing. Although the issues have not not really changed, it's the same stuff that we are actually living through now. But there is you have to be relevant. So for me to be relevant to this time and this era and this space, I have to sort of talk about
You done
what's
your art.
correct. Because that's, like I said, that's the only thing that I can do. Like I cannot uh,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
anything
yeah.
else.
So we'll have to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
give myself a discipline that we do it for half an hour because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
people listen to that much. But this just gives us, maybe there has to be another meeting together on this podcast.
Absolutely happy to anytime. You can-
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
such an
you.
amazing conversation, and I'm sure many people have, you know, first time heard the things that you can bring to them. Heard
I
about.
don't think so. Yeah, like I said, sound
Yeah, yeah,
design is all around us.
not everybody knows about music and sound design, and it's an amazing field, and I'm so jealous of you right now.
Array. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
so
much
much.
for inviting me.
Thank you, thank you. God bless
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.